Hi, we're going to work with ratios and proportions today. I feel like this should be a quick review for many of you. We're going to start by just writing 4 equivalent fractions for the fraction I gave you. For the first one, 1/2, I started pretty simple. To make an equivalent fraction, we can multiply both the numerator and the denominator by 2, so I would have 2/4. We could take the numerator and the denominator both times 5 to get 5/10. We could take both by 10 and then we get 10/20. We could get crazy and try 7 and we would end with 7/14. Whatever you multiply the top by the numerator, you do the same with the denominator. These all would simplify or reduce down to our original equation. What I would like you to do is pause the video, do the next 3, we'll compare answers. Okay, I hope you did pause the video and give it a try. Again, all of our answers could be different. As you can see on the first one, I took everything times 2, then I went times 3, times 5, times 10. Not very creative. For this one, I just decided to go times 3, times 5, times 10. And on this one, I did times 50. Woohoo, something crazy. Same sort of thing here, just times 2, times 7, times 11, and then times 30. Our answers, again, will probably be different. For the next thing we're going to practice, it is using cross products. Some of these we can figure out by just looking at them. Are they proportional? Meaning, could we have taken the original ratio, multiplied it by something to get the next ratio? Well, when I look at 3/4 and 6/7, I can see 3 times 2 gets me 6. But is 4 times 2 equal to 7? No. So this is not proportional. The answer would be no. Now it asked us to use cross products, so let's just practice that. That means you would take 3/4 and 6/7. I would multiply diagonally. 4 times 6. I wonder if that would equal 3 times 7. 24 does not equal 21. So again, not proportional. This one, I noticed that 3 times 7 got me to 21. Oh, and 2 times 7 got me to 14. So yes, they're equivalent or they're proportional. Again, using cross products, I would do 2 times 21 and wonder if that equaled 3 times 14. 2 times 21 is 42. 3 times 14 is also 42. So smiley face, they are proportional. I would like you again to pause the video. I gave you some decimals, but that's okay. Complete the next 2. We'll compare answers. This time we should get the exact same answer. Pause the video, please. Thank you for pausing the video. On this one, it wasn't really straightforward for me to change a 5 into a 4 or a 2 into 1 6/10. So I went right to cross product, multiplied, and I got 8 equals 8. So woohoo, they are proportional. They're equivalent. Same here. I can't change these into each other very easily. So I multiplied cross products. I got the same answer. Therefore, yes, these form a proportion. Now we're going to be solving the proportions. changing 40 into 96 isn't the most straightforward thing, so we're going to do our cross product. It does not matter which direction you go first. I tend to put the variable first. So 40 times x equals 4 times 96. I would get 40x equals 384. One-step equation, divide by 40, divide by 40, x equals 9.6. Moving to the next one, again, changing a 28 to a 21 is not straightforward for me. So I'm going to do cross product. 28 times n equals 20 times 21. 28n equals 420. Divide. N equals 15. Now, as I was working my way through this problem, it dawned on me I could have simplified this equation and then moved forward from there. But sometimes I get into solving equations and just become an equation solving robot instead of thinking for a minute first. Okay, let's try the next one. I'm going to do my cross product. 16c equals 9. 9 times 7. I was jumping ahead to the answer. So I get 16c equals 63. I'm going to divide by 16. I will end at 3.94, 3 and 94 hundredths. Please try the next one by yourself. I'm going to ask you to pause the video and then we'll compare answers. I hope you paused the video. You can see my answer peeking out right there. I got 84 hundredths. We were rounding to the nearest hundredth. Great job. Hopefully we all have the same answer. Now we're going to kick it up a notch, but it's really the same thing. We're going to do cross products to determine the missing value for the variable, not what the denominator should be, but the variable. So I would take 14 times 7 has to equal 6 times the entire denominator, so x minus 3. 14 times 7 is 98. Distribute, so I get 6x minus 18. I am running out of room, so I'm going to add 18, and then I'll continue my work over here. 116 equals 6x. Divide by 6, divide by 6. 19 and 33 hundredths equals x, rounding to the nearest hundredth. Don't make this difficult. It just turns it into a two-step equation. One more, cross product. So 2 times 8 has to equal 4 times the entire numerator, m minus 1. So 16 equals distribute 4m minus 4. Now we have a two-step equation. I'm going to add 4 to both sides. Again, I'll finish my work over here. 20 equals 4m. After I divide, I know m equals 5. On the back side, you will find two problems. I'm going to ask you to pause the video, solve those two problems. We'll compare answers and our work. Please pause the video. Thank you for pausing. My two solutions for the first one, I did cross products. I distributed carefully. I ended with 4 and 57 hundredths. For the second one, cross product two-step equation after I distributed, and I ended with 1 6/10. Take a moment, compare your work to mine if we got different answers. Now we're going to do the same sort of math. We're just going to use story problems. Seth earned $152 in 4 days. At that rate, how many days will it take him to earn $532? There's a couple different ways of approaching this. We could find the unit rate, how much per day, and then calculate how long will it take. Or, following the proportions for thinking, $152 in 4 days. I like to label my proportions so I can match things up. At that rate, how many days? Ooh, that's what I don't know. Remember when we would go from English to math, what we don't know would be the variable. So how many days? I have no idea how many days, so I'm going to put X for days. Notice we have the same topics in the denominator, so they match, and then $532. We have money in the numerator, number of days in the denominator. You then will do your cross products again. So 152x equals 4 times 532. I did my calculations a little earlier, so you didn't have to watch me use a calculator, and I got 2,128. Divide by the 152, divide by 152. It would take 14 days for Seth to earn that much money. Again, with the next one, we could go to the unit rate and figure it out, but we're working with proportions, so I'm just going to set up the proportion. As I do, remember, I'm going to line up things that relate. So Laura drove 248 miles in 4 hours. At that rate, how long will it take her to drive an additional 93 miles, So I'm going to start with what I know. We got 248 miles in 4 hours. Could I have put hours in the numerator? Absolutely. That does not matter. As long as when we write our second ratio, we are matching up hours and miles. Now, it wants to know how long will it take. So that means that's what I don't know again. When we don't know, that's where our variable goes. To drive an additional 93. Oh, so we're at 248. We want to go an additional 93 miles. So I need to take that and add or combine them together. When I add those together, I got 341. Now we'll proceed on using our cross product. 248x equals 4 times 341. 248x equals 1364. I feel like you could have figured that out. I just used my calculator. Divide. And I got 5.5 hours to go an additional 93 miles. 5.5 hours in all. So let's think about that. How much longer will it take her to drive 93? Well, if it took her 4 hours to go there, to get 93, it would take her 1.5 hours for the 93 miles. Her total travel time would have been 5.5, but to go 93 more miles, it would have been an hour and a half. Now we're going to talk about blueprints in a house. I think many of you have heard of them. And so in this blueprint, it says every 2.5 inches equals 10 feet. Again, I could have put feet in the numerator, inches in the denominator. That does not matter, as long as when I write my second proportion or my second ratio, I have the units aligned. If the length of the wall is 12 feet, so the 12 would go here, how long is the wall on the blueprint? Again, I don't know. What I would like you to do, finish this one. Try the next two below it by yourself. We'll compare answers in a moment. You guessed it. Pause the video, show your work, use your calculator. Pause the video, please. Thank you for pausing. Okay, for the blueprint in the house, I ended up with, on the blueprint, that wall would be 3 inches. Then we started talking about someone who does model race cars. When I was done, I set up the given factors. 1 inch in the model is really 6¼ feet in real life. I aligned my units. Cross product, I ended with 4 1/6 foot. I use the ABC key on my calculator. It is okay with me if you have decimals. Next, this one, the ratio is given to me 8:5, but then it explained what each one is. So 8 pedal turns equals 5 wheel turns. They wanted to know how many pedal turns if my wheel turned that many times. So I lined up my units again. You could have them flipped, it's okay. Cross products, it would have resulted in 3,896 pedal turns. If you need to, you can rewind the video. It's posted in Google Classroom. Catch up on anything you missed. If you're not sure, just check it out again.